Well, TikTok's not letting me use my green screen because I was just going to show you pictures of Paul G. Kirk and Charlie Kirk, and how can you say that it doesn't look like him? But, you know, Charlie Kirk has run around and told all of MAGA that his dad is a Robert Kirk, that's an architect out of Arlington Heights. But I looked, as you would have had to see my last video, that ties back to Massachusetts. You know where the heart of Democrat policies, Democrat everything began is Massachusetts. And that's where the Kennedys and the Catholic and all. Again, I'm not going after Catholic. I'm just saying that's a big old damn mess. Because you would have had to see my video from earlier, how the Kirk family is tied to this cardinal that was like the archbishop from, he married Joe Kennedy and Rose Kennedy. And the Kirks, come to find out, are like family. Yeah, Kirk's keeper. I mean, it's going, you know, I showed this in my last video. So the Kirks were almost like family. But the Kirks had a lot of power anyway because they, you know, Paul Kirk Jr.'s dad was on the Massachusetts Supreme Court. So look, you know, when it doesn't line up, and Charlie Kirk of Turning Point, who runs around saying he's a conservative and he's MAGA and he's full of shit, and yet he can't even, there's no pictures of his parents, not even once he gets married. Now watch, they'll probably come out with some, you know, but they're hiding, that means they're hiding something. Well, this would be the biggest thing to hide. Because look, if they hadn't corruptly put Paul G. Kirk into Ted Kennedy's seat, then Obamacare may have never passed at all. That would have been such a blessing. The worst thing ever for healthcare. And I'm saying this as a nurse. The worst thing that ever happened to healthcare was Obamacare. Worst thing ever. In every area went it horrible. So anyway, so you know, I mean, that Arlington Heights Architectural Company yet is listed with it links to that Boston Construction Company, and that is where Paul G. Kirk is out of. So they've made this whole facade around Charlie Kirk. So MAGA, please listen to me. This is the levels of depravity these people will go to. These Democrats will go to. So think about it. This is why I've not trusted the people around Trump. I don't think Trump's stupid. He knows who they all are. My only issue with it is that, like, you have Americans out here that are speaking up about these people, and yet he just like accepts them all. So that's where I can't wrap my head around it. Because everybody says, oh, he's spotlighting them. Yeah, how long do you keep spotlighting them and putting them up on a pedestal when they haven't really done good things to the American people? That's my issue with it. Like, Charlie Kirk has run around and indoctrinated a bunch of people, and yet he's been lying about who his father is. And he has it totally hidden. So then when I see the Trumps parading around with him, yeah, you could say for a certain period of time that it's, oh, they're highlighting him. But then at some point, it's like, no, all they do is praise him. So why? Why are they doing it? Are they part of the Uniparty? I don't know. I don't think so. But like, you have to be honest at some point and stop the nonsense. Look, his family is Democrats, okay? If they weren't, there would be no issue with him putting out a picture of him and his wife with his parents, okay? They have so many different stories. I mean, until I read into this Paul G. Kirk and realized that he was out of Massachusetts, and I'm like, it looks like Charlie. So here's the other thing. I said in my last video about the Kennedy disease. Now, that's not named after the Kennedys or anything, but it was discovered in 1966. But that's a little interesting too, because it mainly affects males, the X chromosome. And again, it made sure to tell me that no Kennedy has been diagnosed with this. But I mean, well, let me show you what, you know, the symptoms and all of it is. Affected individuals begin to develop neurological symptoms between 20 and 50 years of age, and it includes swallowing difficulties, speech difficulties, RFK Jr. Hand tremors, although he says what he has is spasmodic dysphonia. Hand tremors, shaky muscles when holding certain postures, muscle weakness, muscle wastage. Maybe that's why he works out all the time. He's not diagnosed with this. He says he has but JFK had like a slew of health problems. He had a ton of all these autoimmune disorders. He had Addison's disease, a thyroid disorder, all these genetic back problems. Like there's maybe some genetic problems. And then again, nobody has said that anything is wrong with Charlie Kirk. But if you do watch him, he's fine when he talks, but when he's just listening, he tries to cover it up, because he'll go like, and then he always looks like he's chewing on something, so he's like always moving his mouth, so you can't. But a lot of other people have mentioned it. Again, I'm not going after him for it. I'm just saying, if the Kirks, as I said in my last video, were almost like family with the Kennedys, well, maybe there was some family links. And maybe, there's nothing to say that this disease is caused by, because people do know, right, that the Kennedys, they're one of the 13 families, bloodlines. The 13 families have a tendency to do interbreeding. Yeah, not that they're the only ones, though. A lot of royal families do it, too. So then that's how you get this kind of, you can get this kind of stuff. And on another note, I mentioned how the architect place in Arlington Heights ties back. It has connections to Boston, of course, where the Democrat, everything Democrat comes out of. But I wanted to show you what their website says. Because they're more than just a construction company. They're involved in data connections inside. They're involved in predictive analytics stuff. What a surprise. What a surprise. That the Democrat and all of so literally the place that the Charlie Kirk of Turning Point says that his dad, Robert Kirk, owns his own architecture firm in Arlington Heights. Okay, well, that's the architecture firm that I showed. Group A is what the name of it is, and the president is Robert Kirk. And yet, but under the Better Business Bureau, there's no evidence to show they've ever done anything, but they do tie back to this company, which is in Massachusetts, which is where Paul G. Kirk, who I believe is Charlie Kirk's father, is from. And so do you see, like, and of course this company is from there. They're very involved heavily, like it's not just some little bitty construction company. So then when it all links back to this guy, like we wouldn't have gotten out, he wouldn't, but this is why they wanted to get somebody in there. They don't need to keep him in there. They just could not afford because Mitt Romney would have put a Republican in that seat when Kennedy died, at least interim. So they changed all this stuff to put him in right after Kennedy died. And most importantly, because they knew they had to push that bill through for Obamacare. I mean, that's pretty much why I would say Charlie Kirk hides everything about his family. And why don't the Trumps expose it? I have no idea. I don't even begin to have an idea why. Why doesn't the media? Well, that just tells you they never look into anything. I mean, they just believe whatever. But most of the sources that say that Robert Kirk, although Charlie Kirk has said Robert Kirk's his father and he owns an architect company, but other secondary source sites, I think this is all tied to General Mike Flynn too, to be honest, but they're the ones that go on to say that he was an architect for Trump. No, Trump's never said that, and there's absolutely no evidence of that. So I'm I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the lies from all the Republicans and all the Democrats and all the government. I'm tired of it from all of you. All of you. I mean, when all of this is done, will there even be any innocent people left that have been in government prior or currently? Because it's hard to tell who's honest at all.